Thank you, Kong. Yeah, let's give him some more love. Yeah, you got to me. Hi. I just need to breathe. It's so interesting to hear that song. You've Got a Friend. And so many times we relate that song to a human being. And when we actually take the words to that song and actually you've got a friend, have that friend be living spirit, God, source. I had to reach for a tissue. Guess I got an issue. That's from my sound crew back there. And the reason I grabbed for a tissue was because, you just call out my name. I promised that this year I was going to be even more authentic with myself and be real and stop pretending. Because the world sometimes expects me or you to pretend and to fit the status quo. And I'm tired of that. I'm tired of pretending and trying to just fit in and people please. And Kong, when you sang that song and you said, you just call out my name and wherever I am, I'll come running, immediately I thought of Tyree Nichols, who called out for his mama as he was being hurt by other human beings, because sometimes when we forget who we really are, we can be so cruel to one another. And how mama wasn't there, though she was a few blocks away. But I tend to believe and trust that when we call out, like George Floyd called for his mama, like many people in distress call out for mama, that they're seeking and they're calling out for that safety, for that spirit, for that love, for that trust. They're simply calling out for that indwelling presence to be there and to be present. And I'm not sure when he took his last breath, but I am sure that his life is eternal, just like our life is eternal. And this month, Centers for Spiritual Living all over the world has been looking at living out loud and coming back to the basics, the basic teachings of our science of mind philosophy. Which reminds us that we are in God and that God is in us. And that though we appear in this human flesh suit, that who we truly are is spirit. And oh, how difficult it is at times to remember that truth, especially in the face of violence, especially in the face of horrific and horrendous occurrences that we have seen and that we have experienced. And when will it end? It ends when we, this spiritual community, each and every one of us, awakens to our spiritual magnificence and actually begins to practice and know and recognize that we are the life of God and that we are creating this. And some of us might sit here and go, how the heck did I create this? We create through our thoughts. We continue to entertain that things like this happened, and we create more of it. So as we take a look at the last Sunday in January where our annual theme is Living Out Loud. And today, for the month of January, we've been looking at boot and reboot. Right? Boot and reboot, and how we're rebooting ourselves, how we're Control-Alt-Delete when something has gone awry and it is malfunctioning or not working or frozen. And we Control-Alt-Delete and reboot that computer system. When things like this continue to happen in the world, we must reboot ourselves, which means that we must return to the truth of who we are. And that's what we get an opportunity to do today. To return to the truth, to be reminded of the truth of who we are, so we stop falling for the okie doke. So we stop being bamboozled. So we stop believing that, oh, we're just merely human. But we are indeed mind, body, spirit. We have within us God. And oh, might I dare to even say that today's talk title, what is it? Celebrating life as source? Yeah, celebrating life as source. How do we celebrate life as source? And what must I be thinking and believing in order to even celebrate life as source? I'm intrigued by Alcoholics Anonymous. They have a third step prayer. And that third step prayer is a surrender. It's a prayer of surrender, which simply says something to the effect of, God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thy will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those that I would help, of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. It is a surrender. Imagine yourself for a moment surrendering to love. Imagine if you could actually surrender and say, okay, love, teach me. Do with me as you will. Show me your ways. Make me the love that I already am. That's what it takes. It takes a surrender to love. It takes that surrender to love because there is still hate in our midst. And so as we surrender to love and allow love to transform us, to do with us as love will, on the other side of that transformation is that self-realization that we are love, that we celebrate life as source, that I am source. And it might sound arrogant, but I'm going to invite us right now into something that I usually do in my workshops. But I want to invite you right now to recognize source, not just in you, but source, spirit, as you. Are you willing?
Yes.
All right, let's take this journey. And if you're at home, please take this journey with me. If you're driving a vehicle, just listen. So the invitation is to gently close your eyes if you're comfortable, or just have a soft gaze upon maybe your hand or something in front of you. And for a moment, what we're going to do is just empty out. And by that I mean it's kind of like moving out. So you're going to take everything and set it outside of yourself. So the first thing that I want you to set outside of yourself like you're moving it outside of your body, outside of your consciousness, is your name. Go ahead and take your name, your first name, middle name, last name, married name, family name, and just set that outside of yourself so that you feel nameless, without a name. And I may go a little quickly, but I invite you to just stay with me. Feel what it feels like to be nameless. And now take your age. All of your years of experience, the pride behind your name and the pride behind your age and how good you look or how many years you've lived or all of that experience, anything around the past, take all of that and set it outside of yourself. So now you are ageless and without a past. All of your experiences growing up, where you were born and raised, all of those stories that you tell, just take all of that and move it on out. Set it outside of yourself. And feel what it feels like to be void of that. Oh, and by the way, if you have future aspirations, what you're going to do later, anything in the future, go ahead and set that outside of yourself as well. So you now have no name, no age, no past, no future. Oh, and your education, all the intellect, all the titles as well, whether your title was mom, dad, doctor, practitioner, minister, first-time champion. All of those titles, PhD, master's degree, all of that education, rocket scientist. Take all of that education, all of those titles, put them outside of you. And feel the void. Your religion growing up, your religion today, take that and put that outside of you. While you're there, also take your race, whatever race you think you are, whatever man-made construct that is. Take that also and put that outside of you. You're now without age, race, past, future, names, titles. All of that is not now outside of you, along with your national status. What flag you rep, what country you were born in. Just take that for this moment and set it outside of yourself. And feel what it feels like to be void of all of your social identities, your height, your weight, what it means to be male or female or non-binary. Take your gender titles, and set that outside of yourself, gender roles. And also take your socioeconomic class, upper class, middle class, lower class. I got this much money. I drive that car. I live in this neighborhood. Take that and set it outside of yourself. Political status. Take that, set it outside of yourself. Now that you have emptied out of your social identities, of your jobs, your titles, your name, your age, your race, how much money you have, your religions, now that you are void of all of that, there's something left. There's something left that you still sense this I am, but it doesn't have a fill in the blank afterwards. Notice that sense of I am, that sense of isness, that sense of simply being, that purity. Now, you're not hypnotized. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and they're just yes or no questions. From this indwelling I am sense, does that isness, does that, what you're noticing within you right now, does it belong to a particular religion? No. You can say that out loud. No. No. Does that isness that you are sensing, that is you, does it belong to a country? No. No. Does it have an age? No. No. It is ageless. That isness that is right there present, does it have a name? No. Does it have a race? No. Does it have a gender? Does it have a sexual orientation? No. Does it have a title? No. Stay with that, beloveds. That you are sensing, that is you, that is your real ID. That is spirit source. That is the thing itself. This is celebrating life as source. You have just discovered or rediscovered or tapped into or re-tapped into source, life, spirit, isness. We give it names, but it is indeed nameless. Gently open your eyes and begin to see source as everything around you. See from there. See with those eyes. Your flesh, the body, your social identities, that's the accessories to spirit. And each of us is spirit. each of us is source. And we get confused. We get confused when we think that we are the body, that we are the color of our skin, that we are our intellect. We think that that's all we are, and we're busy competing against one another. And we're busy separating ourselves from one another, when really what every speaker this month has been bringing you to is that you are source in human form, that you are spirit in human form. But to the degree in which you return to this, dwell here, live from here, like when you remember that every day, each and every moment, when you're living from here, you get to see that, oh, there's source. Here's source, here's source, here's spirit, here's source, here's spirit, here's source. Appearing as a 59-year-old, appearing as a middle class person, appearing as a white person or a black person or a gay person or male or female or non-binary, non-gender conforming, appearing as. That source is who you are. And we forget, right? Sign language for forget. We forget. It's like erasing the mind. We forget that that is who we are. In human terms, it's kind of like you're a multimillionaire, but you're acting like you're broke. Like you don't have access. Or, in human terms, it's like being Clark Kent when you're really Superman. Oh, you got that one even better, huh? Yeah. You see, we forget that we have the power right here. We don't have to go to the mountaintop. We don't have to go sit in lotus position for days on end, though that's very helpful. But it's hard on the joints sometimes, huh? But it means that we must remember the truth of who we are. And in order to remember the truth of who we are, we have to have a spiritual practice. We have to have a practice, something that reminds us of the truth. Now, it's interesting because when we were young, we didn't know how to walk. But through the practice and the practice and the practice, we discovered balance. Oh, that's what that is, balance. And now we know how to balance. We've discovered balance also in riding a bike. Do you remember yourself trying to ride a two-wheeler and you kept falling until you discovered balance? And it's just like now, I could ride with no hands. Some of y'all can pop a wheelie and do that because you have really good balance. What you've just discovered is that indwelling power and presence, that life, that spirit, that's what you've discovered. Christopher Columbus ain't got nothing on you. You've discovered life. You've discovered spirit. You've discovered that your life is the life of source. And not only does it live in you and you live in it, but that you are it. You are it in human form. And it's not arrogance. It is simply having that discovery and then consciously choosing to live from there. Consciously choosing to live authentically. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. Stop pretending and actually live and love. I know we've been taught fake it till you make it. I'm tired of faking it. It's just a lot of work. By the time I get home and, you know, that emotional exhaustion of having to be on, that fatigue. Why can't we just be? Why can't we just say, I don't know, or I need help? Or this hurts, or I'm tired of the way human beings treat each other. To the degree in which we could stop pretending and actually be honest and say, wow, I want to know what it's like to live from source. I want to tap into that. I don't want to just live from my social identities. And what it takes is engaging in practices like the one we just did. Just coming back to center, the real center. Coming to center before you walk out of the door. As it was said years ago, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Doing our spiritual mind treatment, which is our affirmative prayer, which is recognizing that there is a power and a presence and a life that has created everything out of itself, and then recognizing that because it's created everything out of itself, that I am the unique, unrepeatable, magnificent, powerful, amazing way that spirit shows up in human form. And as that is my truth, that is your truth, that you are the unique, unrepeatable, magnificent, powerful, beautiful, amazing way that God shows up in human form, that is who you are. Stop playing Clark Kent. Stop pretending. Stop it. Let's stop it. To the degree in which we stop pretending, people like Daye could live. Because we will not tolerate that. We will begin to live from a place of love, a place of honesty, a place of truth. We will begin to recognize that all life is the life of God. We will begin to not be in the silence, but to simply speak truth and to say, I'm not okay with this. And to have, I'm tired of calling them courageous conversations. Let's just have the conversations. Let's just say this is not okay. Let's let our people around us, our families, our friends know this is not okay. Let us remember the truth of who we are. Let us begin to value life. And we do that through spiritual advocacy, which means that we do that by remembering the truth of who we are and then treating one another with that same honor and dignity. This is celebrating life as source. That little word as, it didn't say celebrating life of source. It didn't say celebrating life in source. As source, which means that each of us is responsible. I am source. You are source. Thank you, Janice, for reminding us that tomorrow starts the season for nonviolence. That as we begin to dig deep and to explore the ways that we've been taught to be violent in our language, in our actions, in our ways, that we look at it and go, oh yeah, I lie, I'm violent, hate lives in my heart, I don't want it to. Let me look, let me excavate, let me remember the truth of who I am, so that love begins to shine such a light that we recognize that we drive hate out. Let us, beloveds, not let 2023 be just another year to check off in our lives. Let us consciously tap into source. Ask that source to transform us. It's right where we are. We don't have to go anywhere. And if you need help with that, see me, see a practitioner. That's what spiritual community is about. Stop seeking for it out there. It is right where you are. And if you need help, that's what we are here for. Let's go into a moment of quick prayer. How grateful I am in this moment that I recognize the power, the presence of life that has created everything that is living in, through, and as me, and that is living in, through, and as all. And so I'm simply calling forth that each and every person within the sound of my voice remembers their spiritual truth and awakens to the spiritual magnificence that we are source itself. And that we begin to live from that, simply shining our love, our joy, our peace, recognizing our abundance, our health, our wholeness, recognizing that and simply awakening and assisting to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. How grateful I am that this is the truth. How grateful I am for prayer. Grateful for spiritual communities to call our own. And grateful that this is available for all. For this and so much more, I give thanks, letting it be so. And together we say, and so it is, and so it shall be, beloveds. Thank you so much.